Hey, this is Derek. So I'm making this video. We're in this villa in Bali for the weekend, and last night I went out and I was meeting some new friends. We went out to a bar. And I was talking with a girl who was in a position that I was in a long time ago, which was where you'd been working on a book for years, like 10 years, but you have this big messy manuscript and you're not able to finish anything. So there's a lot of fear and frustration because you don't really know what you're doing. You really want to have a book finished, but you can't get it done. So she was telling me about a service that costs $27,000 to do everything for you. And that's the kind of stuff that I try to warn authors away from, because I don't think it should cost that much money to publish a book. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how much it actually does cost to publish a book, how much you can expect to earn from your book, which is really important, and also some things I've been seeing recently on the internet that feels a little bit dodgy and yet has a lot of appeal, has a lot of attraction. So the thing is, my friend, she wouldn't have paid $27,000 to publish this book, but it was an attractive offer to her. And the reason it was attractive is because people will tell you, like, we will do everything for you. We have a package. We'll give you an assistant that'll check in with you. We'll give you motivation, productivity. We'll basically help you to finish writing the book. And that's a huge pain point for a lot of authors, because a lot of authors don't finish writing the book. And if you want to finish and you haven't been able to finish writing the book, that's where something like a writing coach could really help. Having somebody who knows more about publishing and writing just to check in and kind of give you feedback and to keep pushing you to get the work done, that can be really helpful. And it could also be really valuable. And people know that. That's generally why I've seen a lot of stuff happening recently on the internet. A few, not colleagues, not friends, I would almost call them competitors, just other people who are in the publishing space have these programs, and they charge between $15,000 to, I've seen one up to $42,000 to help you publish the book. And basically what they're offering is coaching, but also usually cover design, possibly book editing, although often not. Usually just, we will help you publish, which means book cover design and formatting. And then they'll help you to put the books up on wherever on the internet. And they will sometimes tell you some things that you want to hear that actually don't work at all. And this is one of the reasons I don't like them very much. I think in some circumstances, if you have a business and your book is going to be something that helps you earn more money with your business, then it's possible you can spend a lot of money on that book and it's actually an investment. And that's why these people will try to sell you a package like that, and they will sometimes say things like, this is if you want to be a coach. This isn't, you're not going to make any money with your books. Books don't actually earn money, but you can have a six-figure business by having multiple streams of income, or becoming a speaker, or becoming something else. Basically using the book to launch a business, or to launch services or coaching or other things. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. They have to do that because otherwise you're never going to spend $15,000 or $27,000 on some coaching package, because that's a ton of money and you're not going to earn that money back. But if they tell you this is going to help you make a six-figure business, so you're going to potentially earn $100,000 a year, then it helps justify the cost. And also they sell you things that won't help sell the book, but is every author's dream. So they'll say things like, well, imagine your books in Barnes & Noble, imagine your books in the bookstore, doing a book signing, getting press or media or publicity, or getting featured on TV or whatever. A lot of stuff that's old school that doesn't help sell your book. And that's a problem I have, because I know, like, writing a book, publishing a book, that's one thing. Maybe you want to write books. Maybe you don't want to be a speaker or run a business or build a six-figure coaching agency. Maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you want your books to earn money. And the stuff that these other people are teaching will not help your books earn money. I don't think it's necessarily a scam. I wouldn't say it's a waste of money. I'm interested from the point of sales psychology, because they're doing some things that I'm not doing well, which I've been learning this year. I've always focused on content, and I've always focused on mostly free content. Like, I'll help you to learn how to do this stuff yourself so that you can sell the book yourself, or build your own author platform, or do your own marketing or advertising. I like to do that stuff because I don't really want to be a coach. I don't really want to work with you one-on-one to help the book sale. And also, the number one thing behind guerrilla publishing which is my program, is that I help you write books that actually sell because people want to read them. I don't help people market books. Book marketing is kind of bullshit. It doesn't actually work. What works is writing books that readers want to read. That if you do that, that makes everything else much easier, and you can actually make a living with your writing. If you want to write books that nobody wants, and then try to market them, or market them enough to use them to build your platform or your credibility so you can sell other things, that's fine. That's a different business model. I could help people do that also, but I don't want to because I can't guarantee that you'll be able to set up a six-figure business. I wouldn't want to promise that. I also wouldn't be able to guarantee your books are going to earn any money unless I helped coach you through writing the right kind of book that's actually going to sell, which is something I'm going to focus more on in the future because, like I said earlier, what bothers me is I see these other people launching programs, they advertise really hard, and they target beginners. So they get real beginners in, like my friend who was considering this $27,000 publishing package, because if you don't know any better and it's all overwhelming, you don't know book design or marketing or building an author website or publishing, you don't know how to design your book. Publishing is really just book design, cover design, interior formatting, converting to ebook, and publishing on Kindle or Amazon. That's what I recommend. Some of these other gurus will tell you that you need to publish with Ingram Spark or Lightning Source so that you can set returnability and so that you can set a 60% discount, which is what the traditional publishers do, and that's what you need to do to get in bookstores. You can do all that stuff and you still won't get in bookstores. Just because you set it up the right way doesn't mean bookstores will actually stock you, and they don't tell you that. So you can pay or buy into their way overpriced program because they say you will be able to do book signings in bookstores, and that's bullshit because that doesn't actually sell books. You can have a really fun day and sign some books, but you won't earn your money back. Those books won't sell. Getting into bookstores won't sell your books. And you shouldn't try to get in bookstores because what you really want is to reach the most people who are interested in your books with the least amount of time or effort or money. This is why a lot of authors feel the book marketing overwhelm, because they're trying to do all these old school things that don't have any practical results. So you can spend a lot of time and money on stuff that doesn't work, and it feels frustrating because you're not selling any books. If you do that long enough, you might figure out there's probably a better way. A lot of people, they just want to pay someone else. They want to hire an assistant to do all that stuff for them, which doesn't really work. You really need to learn it yourself. Nobody's going to do your book marketing for you. And the main thing is nobody's going to fix your product. So if you have a broken product, which means your cover design doesn't attract, your title doesn't have keywords, isn't attractive to your audience, it's not obvious what the benefits of your book are. If you don't have a book that readers want, and you've screwed up your positioning and your packaging, it's going to be really hard to sell that book. More visibility, more book marketing, that's not going to help. So I'm getting a little off track. What I wanted to make sure I say also is that I'm not calling these other programs scams because I think some authors need coaching to finish the book. If you want to pay someone to check in with you twice a week for 3 months or 6 months to make sure you do the work, that's a high value proposition. I personally, I'm not sure that I want to do that kind of work. If I did do that kind of work, I would charge a lot of money for it. I would rather not do that because, like I said, in most cases, even if, and this is something these other people do, they say, I only work with a few people. You have to apply. You apply and then get it on a phone call, and then they'll do like a heavy sales pitch. And there are psychological factors where they can a little bit manipulate you into spending a lot of money on the book. I don't necessarily think that's terrible because there's some validation there. If you, I'm going to make this other video or blog post or book about writing under the influence. And that used to be, the idea was just about writing under the influence of drugs or coffee or tea or basically whatever helps you to get it done. And I think it's a really fascinating subject in the history of literature that a huge proportion of famous authors and artists were using, not abusing, but using supplements or lifestyle hacks or potentially legal or illegal substances to boost their productivity and creativity. I think that's fascinating. I want to write a book about it. But something I discovered recently is that even if you know what you're doing and even if you're writing books to market, you still have to get the work done. I know my books will sell. I know I'll make more money with every book I put out, but I still have to sit down doing the writing, and that's something I'm still struggling with. And the idea of writing under the influence is that you need the confidence to do the work. And having a coach who believes in you, or just paying a lot of money to have a coach, can be the thing that gives you the confidence to do the work. So if it helps you finish the book, if you spend $10,000 or $20,000, and just by spending that much money, you're personally invested. Sometimes you need to spend a lot of money so that it's enough that you care about. If you buy a cheap program, and this is something I'm experiencing with my courses, my services, I price really low because I want my stuff to be accessible to everybody. But what that means is a lot of people will buy my stuff and they won't use it because it was cheap, so it doesn't really hurt. They're like, well, if I don't use this, if I don't, do the work, it doesn't really matter. That's not good for my students, because if they did the work, they would see the results, and I want my students to see the results. So something that course creators talk about is you have to price high, not necessarily, like I don't necessarily want to charge more for my services or my courses, but I do want people to get value from what I'm providing. I want them to do the work, because if they don't do the work, it doesn't matter how good my resources or my information is. So in a sense, charging a lot of money, charging $10,000 or $20,000, even though it's not something I want to do, I can understand how if you pay $10,000 or $20,000, you're going to be really invested in doing the work. And even if your coach isn't that great, or even if his service or his product isn't that great, if it helps you to finish the book, maybe it's worth that much money. Maybe that's what you needed to finish the book. And maybe you just want to finish the book to have confidence. Like if you've been struggling with it for 10 years and you're not doing it, and you kind of feel guilty, and you have all these negative personal hang-ups about being an author because you know that you're having trouble finishing the book, which is a real thing. That's a real emotional struggle for writers especially. If this is something like, if you pay a lot of money to help you actually get a book done and published and in the world, and that's the thing that gives you the confidence to keep writing more books, that's great. However, one of the main drawbacks, and I speak as a cover designer, this is kind of where I'm different from most other people in the publishing space. A lot of people will sell you a publishing package and they know how to publish a book, but they'll outsource the design. And you may not get great quality cover design. So if you're spending, $10,000 or more and you're not getting an amazing cover design that sells the book, that's a big problem, because finishing a book doesn't matter. And they'll say things like, we'll also, after you finish the book, we'll also help with the marketing and we'll help market your book. That's kind of bullshit, because the things that they say they're going to do for you don't sell books anyway. And even if they know how to put the book up on Amazon, they're probably not going to be doing big author platform stuff to get the free organic visibility that you need for long-term sales. What I like to do, I don't do any book marketing. I set up author platforms that attract my readers on autopilot so I can just write books and people can find my books. I do a lot of that. It works really well. It does take time and effort to build. A lot of authors, they don't want to do that because they don't want to do that kind of work. And they would rather just pay lots of money to have somebody else do it. But generally, the stuff that other people will do for you is short-term stuff that might be really cool for a couple weeks, but then your book won't keep selling on Amazon. And you want to make a living, if you want to make a living with writing. If you just want your book to be a #1 bestseller for a day so that you can sell other things and do a different kind of business, that's totally fine. That works. If someone's selling you that model and they know how to do that, I've seen some people who have these expensive coaching programs and their sales funnel is really great. I mean, I can learn a lot from them also. So if you want that kind of a coaching business and you're just using your book to leverage into a 6-figure business and they know what they're talking about, that might be great for you. It might be worth spending the money. It may not. And personally, like if you just want to write books and you don't want to do marketing or do public speaking, if you're kind of an introvert like me, and you don't want to talk to people or sell your books all the time or sell your services, these kind of things, they tend to work better for closers. So I have friends who are people who are very confident, and they say things like, if I could just get the people on the phone, I could close the deal. If I can just get to talk to people one-on-one, I can get them to buy my shit. I'm not one of those people. I'm a writer. I can write good content. I'm not as comfortable with the sales. So on the one hand, like, I may not be the best guru if you want to learn about one-on-one sales, but if you want to learn about writing books that sell so you don't have to do sales, I'm the right person for that. But also, like I said, I don't want to charge $10,000 or $20,000 to work one-on-one with people, because most of the time, almost always, you're not writing a book that's going to sell. And I'm not going to tell you that your book is going to be successful or you can make a six-figure business. If your book doesn't sell, you're going to have to do a ton of work. It's not just writing the book isn't the end of your business plan. It's the beginning. You're still going to have to do speaking gigs. You're going to have to cold call, send out emails. You're going to have to hustle, basically. The book will help, certainly, but it's not this magic key that's going to generate income for you. And if you want to be a writer, especially if you're a fiction writer and you want to write novels, and you don't have services or coaching or other things to sell, then your books need to earn money. And this is when I really wouldn't pay. My friend who I was talking about, she's writing a novel, and her problem is basically she has this huge stack of paper she's been working on for 10 years, and she needs to turn it into an actual product. She doesn't really need a coach, even though accountability would be helpful, and having someone who knows what they're talking about would be helpful. What she really needs is a plotting outline. She needs to study craft and plotting and organization, and she needs to figure out how to write commercial fiction in a way that resonates emotionally with readers. That's stuff you can learn. It's stuff I can teach, but it's not stuff I need to work one-on-one with people, because this is universal storytelling information. So all I need to do is set up a cheap online course to teach you how to write those kind of books that sell, and that's something I'm going to do. And it's also something you would get in my guerrilla publishing program. And I also want to include something like a outline review, because if I can just look at your outline before you start writing and help you to get it right, you can finish the book. I understand, I'm starting to understand that, I've always focused a lot on book marketing because most authors are doing it wrong. And I know that if I help them market their books the right way, it'll kind of help. But I also have started to understand this year that the really big pain point is getting the work finished and writing the right kind of book that's actually going to sell itself. So that's kind of what I've started to pivot. I'm adding more resources to guerrilla publishing, so I can focus a lot more on the stuff that happens before you finish the book. Because like I said, if you finish the right kind of book, and if you get the book done, and if you learn how to have the confidence to write more books more quickly, that's the stuff that's really going to help. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, the danger of these expensive coaching packages is that you don't learn how to do it yourself. And I'm a big proponent of DIY stuff and self-publishing or indie publishing, even though you're going to make a lot of mistakes, even though you're going to screw everything up, because you have to fail to learn how to do it better. You have to fail, you have to screw up, you have to have terrible book launches and not be able to get any reviews. Basically, once you've started and you screw everything up, then you're going to start learning. And if you have the perseverance to figure out what you did wrong and you learn all this stuff to do right, eventually you're going to be able to make a full-time living as a writer. Most authors don't want to do that, and it is frustrating and painful, and they're afraid of making mistakes, and they're afraid of getting negative reviews. But unless you're doing that and you're failing, you're not going to figure out how to fix it. And the problem is, if you just spend a lot of money to get someone else to do it for you, you're still not going to learn. You're going to pay someone else to do a lot of money. You're just going to give away the whole process, the cover design, the formatting, the marketing to some extent. You're just going to trust them to do everything for you. So even when their program finishes and you've got your finished book and they're kind of done with you because they've done everything they promised, but your book still isn't selling and you still don't have any business, and now you've got a huge debt. I've seen people take out debts or GoFundMe pages to raise $10,000 or seriously $12,000, $27,000, $42,000. These are just some of the prices that I've seen other people charge. And it's a great business model for them. And I'm not saying they don't provide value, because in certain circumstances, that can be great value. And I think they do know what they're doing to some extent, even though I don't like all of their content and I don't like all of their advice, because I think some of their advice is seriously misguided. I do think they know what they're doing in terms of business and sales, and that's important. That's something that I'm learning. But what I was going to say is that if you just pay someone else to do it for you and you don't learn how to do it yourself, at the end of the day, even after you have a book, you're still starting from zero. And this is something I've seen a lot of my traditionally published friends suffer from, is because they get traditionally published deals. They go through the agent route, and they don't make any money because publishing advances are usually pretty low. You might get $5,000 or $10,000 if you're a debut author. That's kind of average. And there's also companies that don't give you any advance. Really quickly, this video is already getting long, but it's important. So let me break down the 3 paths to publishing. Traditional publishing means you don't pay any money. That's really attractive to most authors. You want to be a real author, a traditionally published author, or whatever, and that's fine. You have to submit to agents. You have to submit to publishers. You need a publishing query, and you have to learn the rules. You have to learn to submit your manuscript and your query the right way to the right people. And you have to be serious about getting rejection. You need to get serious about not trying to get a publishing deal, but trying to get rejected 100 times. Make that your goal, to get 100 rejection slips so that you can learn and improve and get better. If you get a publishing deal, that's great. You might get $5,000 or $10,000 plus up to 10% in royalties. But 90% of books don't make their advance back, which means most of the time after that $5,000 or $10,000, you're not going to make any more money. So earning $5,000 or $10,000 a month, if you write a book a year, earning $5,000 or $10,000 per book, if you write a book a year, that's all the money you earn. That's not a full-time living as a writer. Even if you're a very successful, traditionally published author, you're probably not making tons of money. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I have a lot of author friends who either they chose to self-publish because they're successful and they can make so much more money self-publishing. If you self-publish and you put your books on Kindle, you have access to Amazon advertising, which means you can get more leads to your books. Most of my friends who make serious money, like $20,000 or $30,000 a month on Kindle, they're really good at Amazon advertising. So if you're traditionally published and you're not learning Amazon advertising, you're missing out on the main tool that you could be using to sell books. But also, if you're traditionally published, the other thing I've seen is that you get a publishing deal, you spend 2 years chasing a deal, and then another 1 or 2 years before the book is published. And in those 4 years, maybe you've written 1 or 2 other books, but probably not, because you've been just trusting that the publishing agent knows what they're doing. And then your books don't sell, so the publishing agent or the publisher drops you. After maybe they booked you for a 3-book series, or they booked you for the first book in a 3-book series, but your first book didn't sell because you didn't have an author platform, because you didn't learn marketing. And this is the thing, like if you get a traditional publishing deal but you don't learn how to do marketing, your book won't sell, because traditional publishers, they really won't do the marketing for you. Their business platform is they'll publish 100 books, but they won't invest money. They'll spend $5,000 or $10,000 on the advance for 100 books, and one of those books will be a huge breakout bestseller, and they'll earn all the money back on all the other books that didn't earn any money. But if you're a first-time debut author, they're not really going to invest much money in your book. I would much rather, I would like to get a traditional publishing deal, but I'm waiting till I have a big platform, because once I have a big platform, and I mean 100,000 followers, 100,000 email list, I've sold, 50,000 books or something. When I get up to 100,000 or more, I have a much stronger position. What I want to do is have a big enough platform that I can force the publisher to make me a good offer, because if the publisher invests more money in me, if they give me a bigger book advance, they're also going to do more book advertising, because they have to make their money back. So I don't want a traditional publishing deal until I have enough weight with an author platform to really dictate the terms of my deal and to get a very big advance, so that I know the traditional publisher will do the work for me and make sure that I have a more successful book. That's my plan. That's what I recommend. It still means you need to build the platform. And so what I've seen a lot of my traditionally published friends do is they get a deal, they're really excited about it, but then they get dropped, or then they don't make any money. 3 years later, they're not making any money from their book. They're a traditionally published, famous author, but they still need to work at Starbucks or wherever, because they can't earn a living. That's why I'm a big fan of indie publisher, because all of the people that I know who are making serious money, not just a living, like earning a couple thousand, I think it's great. If you can earn a couple thousand in profit from your books a month, that's great, and you're already way ahead of everybody else. But I have friends who make $10,000, $20,000. I have a friend who makes $80,000 a month on Amazon. That's ridiculous money for writers. There's never been a time when writers could make that much money writing books. You can do that now if you know what you're doing, if you're approaching your writing as a business and you're writing books that readers love on purpose, which means knowing the market, treating your writing as a business, and writing books that sell, not just writing what you want and then just putting it out there and seeing what you want to do. If you want to be an artist, that's fine. If you want to be a starving artist, that's okay. A lot of people, they want to be a starving artist, which means they believe they should write the art and not worry about the market. And then they can't market the books. And then they have a problem with advertising or marketing. They can't sell the books. If that's you and those are your belief systems, that's fine. I'm trying to educate people to change those belief systems because I think they're personally harmful. I don't think there's anything glorious about suffering for your art. I don't think there's anything glorious about writing a great book of literature that nobody reads and everybody hates. If you're an artist who writes books that you love, but you put it out on the market and nobody gets it, nobody else gets it, nobody wants to pay money for it, nobody else reads it, I don't think you're producing value to the world. I think if you're an artist, you have a responsibility to provide value. You don't deserve to get paid unless you're providing value. And by value, I mean other people like the book. If other people don't like the book that you've written, you don't deserve to get paid for it. And advertising or marketing is not going to help. There's definitely a balance. I think you can have passion. I think you can be creative. You can be an artist. I don't believe you're a hack or that you're selling out if you write books that readers love. I think you're a great writer. If you're a great writer and you write books that readers love, that's creativity, that's art. That means you know what you're doing, but you're doing it on purpose. You're not just doing it as an accident. What a lot of new authors do is it's all experimentation, and they're not thinking about whether people are going to like this. They're thinking about, I just want to have fun and create for me and do what I want. And I want other people to support me and pay me for it because I'm, doing great literary work or something. So they start Kickstarter or GoFundMe pages, or they ask all their friends and family to buy their book or support them. I don't believe artists should be asking for support. I think artists should be providing value. If you're providing value, you can make a living as a writer. I got sidetracked. This is obviously something I'm passionate about, and it's the biggest point of resistance. The reason most authors can't make a living with their writers, with their books, is because they don't agree with me and they're not willing to write books that people like. They're dedicated to writing books that nobody's going to like because they believe that it's all about the art and the muse or whatever. So I'm creating a lot of content to help people understand that's not a psychologically healthy belief. It's actually a limiting creative belief that's objectively not true in the marketplace. If you look at any great literary hero in history, and if you look at anybody who's selling books and making a living with as a writer these days, they will all say they're writing books that readers love. You can't sell books if you're writing books that readers don't love. So I try to start with that position and start from providing value. But let me say a couple more things before I wrap it up. Traditional publishing is great. It doesn't earn a lot of money, but it's a lot of credibility. It's a lot of fame. It's a little bit, depending on your market, it might give you a boost. People will take you a little more seriously. It doesn't mean you're going to sell more books. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to earn more money. Self-publishing is great. It can be absolutely free. You can DIY your own book cover and your own book design, format your book yourself and upload to Amazon and Kindle. It doesn't cost you anything. It can be free. But if you don't know anything about book marketing, if you've done a terrible design of formatting your book and designing your book, if you haven't figured out how to position or package your book to attract readers, and let me say first, it's totally fine to screw all of that up because it's better to screw all of that up and get it done than just not do it. Because I read Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert recently, and there's a quote which is, perfectionism is fear in high heels. And so what most people do is they want to write the perfect book and then they never finish because they want to get it all right. And if you don't put something out there, you're not going to learn how to do it right because you haven't failed yet. So that's why I say you shouldn't try to write the book you care about. You shouldn't try to write your passion project or the one you care about, the one that you think is important, because you're going to spend 10 years on it and you're never going to finish. What you want to do is pick something short that you don't really care about that's popular and publish that. Publish that first, because then you publish under a pen name if you have to. Get rid of the fear and the doubt and the uncertainty by not caring about the results. Get something out there so that you can learn and you can figure it out, because chances are the first few books you publish are going to tank terribly. They're not going to make money. They're not going to review well. That's fine. The people who are successful, they view it as a learning process and they're okay with publishing something quickly to get feedback and learn how to do better. If you're not willing to do better, if you write that first book that you care about and you're passionate about it, and you think it's going to get on Oprah, and you think it's going to be $1 million bestseller, and you think you're going to retire in 3 months, when you fail really hard, you're going to give up writing because you had these really high expectations and the reality was too painful, and now you can't continue because you just think, I don't know what went wrong. You have so much pain and disappointment. That's also why I tell people to write books that sell. It's not because you're writing shitty books. It's that if you get rid of the emotional, if you care too much about your baby, like this book is my baby, and you're really emotional about it, you're going to feel the pain more when it's not successful. If you care whether or not your book is successful, you're going to be less likely to get the book written, and also you're probably going to be less likely to have a successful book, because the way to have a successful book is to be willing to study the market and figure out what's selling and what's not selling, and figure out who your audience is and what they like, and be willing to respect your audience enough to make a product that sells, which just means I want people to like my books. If people don't like my books, they're not going to pay me for them. That means I need to write better books. I need to be a better author who studies story architecture and writes better, more satisfying books. It doesn't mean I'm writing shitty books that sell. It means I'm writing books that readers love and they pay me for, so I can be an author. I'm providing value. It bothers me that this is the idea of being a hack or selling out, when actually it just means I'm becoming a better author on purpose. My books review well. I get lots of reviews by people who read my books and they like my books. I don't have to force them to buy my books or read my books because they enjoy them. Because they enjoy my books, they read more books. It's easy to make a living as a writer if you do it that way. Most writers don't want to do it. The final thing I want to keep coming back to, traditional publishing, self-publishing, which is free but dangerous because you're going to screw things up. It's fine if you screw things up, but if you have the money and you can invest in like high-quality book cover design, that's really where you want to spend your money, because if you get a shitty cover, book advertising or marketing is not going to help your shitty cover. The main thing you need to do is get a nice cover that's attractive to your audience. I have tons of free resources on cover design and book design and free templates that you can use to do all that stuff yourself. It's still a risk. It's still difficult to do yourself. It's a pain in the ass, so you might just want to hire someone to do it for you. You still need to figure out your author platform, setting up your email list, getting your autoresponder set up. I have lots of free content about that too. But you don't want to just pay somebody to do your book marketing for you, because most of that stuff is not going to work anyway. If you haven't set up a solid project and product, if you haven't designed it well, if you haven't packaged and positioned it well, if you don't have an author website that looks good, if you do everything wrong, paying for somebody else is not going to fix the problem. Finally, I want to mention there's all these hybrid publishers. So a hybrid publisher is somebody who will do everything for you for a fee. So it's basically, instead of hiring services, like I'm a book cover designer, you used to be able to hire me to do cover design. What a lot of people will do if they know a little bit about publishing is they'll set up a small press. So you can pay them one big package fee, which is generally $2,000 to $10,000, and they will just do everything for you. The problem is most of that is book design, is cover design and formatting, and the rest of it is maybe they say something like book marketing or book launch, or they'll help you to publish the book. They might take a fee, which is not great. They might take a cut of your earnings. They might not be great at cover design, like I said. So the difference between like a traditional publisher where you don't pay any money, or a self-publisher where you pay all the money, a hybrid publisher is someone who offers like a publishing package where they will do everything for you. Sometimes they say stuff like bespoke or boutique publishing services, which just means you're paying them and they'll give you a project manager. This is kind of vanity publishing. So you'll pay them between $2,000 to up to like $20,000 or more for a packaging service. And that's dangerous because generally, I'm in Bali, so there's bells behind me, but generally, like you could pay the average cost to publish a book, including editing, and editing is expensive, so maybe like $1,000 to edit your book from a good editor, it might cost a couple $1,000s to pay for cover design, formatting, and editing, which is what you probably need. If you're an indie publisher and you want to cut costs, you can do it for much, much less. But if you want to hire professional service providers, it might cost a couple $1,000s. What you don't want to do is publish with a vanity press or a hybrid press that has a publishing package which charges you $5,000 or $10,000, because all they're really doing is setting up a project manager and maybe offering some stuff that doesn't actually work, like a press release or a book signing. They'll just schedule stuff like that for you, which is what authors want. So it's tempting because authors will pay a lot for it because that's their dream of being a published author, to have a book signing or whatever. But do you want to be like a real author who earns money from their books, or do you want to look like an author so you can post on Facebook, look, I have a book signing? I don't want people to pay $5,000 or $10,000 for a publishing package that actually doesn't sell books. In certain circumstances, if you could hire someone, like if there's a program where you're buying into a coaching business where somebody is checking in with you to give you feedback to help you to finish the book, if they're helping you with that accountability and motivation, and especially if they're helping you with the organization or the plot outline to make sure you're writing a book that's going to sell, if they're doing that kind of stuff, that can be really high value service. And I'm thinking about, like, the reason I got into courses is because I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I don't want to charge $5,000 or $10,000. I know that people will pay me, and I know that I could help people to do the stuff that will actually work. But I don't want to be one of those people who sells courses for that much money, because in almost all cases, the people who buy into those courses are not going to make their investment back. A few people will. There will be a few people who will make their money back. But most authors who are beginning authors who don't know anything about online business or sales or writing, and this is their first book, they pay $10,000 or $20,000 just to help get a book out there into the world. They're not going to make that money back. So even though they're willing to pay for the service, and even though they're getting value, maybe if you're retired and you have savings and you just want to write a book because that's your life dream and you actually don't care if anybody reads it, that can be a great service. If they help you to get the book written and you haven't been able to do it on your own, it's fine to spend that much money. I personally don't want to do that. That's not the business I want to have. So I have cheaper courses, and the idea was people can just buy the course and learn how to do it themselves. The problem is that nobody wants to learn how to do it themselves. Everybody just wants to pay a lot of money with the promise that somebody else is going to help do it for them. And that's something I'm personally struggling with, because I don't want to make those promises. I don't want to promise anything that's not true. And I don't want to charge money unless you're going to get the money back. So I think if I charge, $500 to $1,000, I know I can get people to write books and make that much money monthly. I've done that with lots of clients. I know that if you buy my courses and you do the work, you can be a full-time living as an author. So I'm comfortable charging that much money for courses. I'm also, however, I know that since authors don't want to do the work and they really just want someone to help them to do the work for them, I need to get better about making my courses easy and giving them enough personal feedback. This is why, for example, my courses, I'll probably do some things that are really high value but low time. So, for example, I can, help critique your title and subtitle. I can help you tell your book cover sucks and help you get a new one. I can help you to fix your outline before you start writing and give you feedback so that you write a book that's going to be more successful. Those are the kind of things that I could do that only take an hour or two of my time, but are extremely high value. So those are some of the things I want to start including in my courses. But like I said, if I did, the more personal time I spend, I charge a lot of money for my services. If you want to hire me one-on-one to call me and talk to me on the phone for an hour, I would charge $1,000. I don't like talking on the phone. Even though that's really high value and people want to pay that much for me, I don't want to do that. That's not what I love doing. Even though I know that people don't really want to watch my courses, even though my courses are hundreds of hours, people don't want to spend hundreds of hours. They really just want to talk to me for an hour and get my feedback and get my expertise. I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to trade my time for money in that way. I'd much rather that you can buy a course, do most of it yourself. I can give you some quick tips or feedback. Possibly we'll do like a monthly group coaching call or something. That's also something I'm not a coach, even though that's high value, and I probably need to start doing that with my courses. That's not something that's comfortable for me. So there's definitely a balance of, like I said, there's other people who are much better at this aspect of the business, which is selling the dream to people. I've always sold the information to people, but people don't want the information, they want the dream. They want the confidence and the structure and the organization. And this is something I'm learning for myself, because like I said, this is the create with confidence, or writing under the influence. This is basically like, how can I help people? It's not just about knowing how to write books that sell. It's about giving them the confidence and being there to support them long term for several months until they get the work done, and making sure I'm helping them get the work done. Because if I can't help them finish the book, they're not going to need the book marketing or all the other stuff that I do that I can help them with, the book design and the book marketing. None of that's going to help if I can't get them to finish the book. So I'm learning how to get better about all this type of stuff. This is what I'm really focusing on this year. In the future, my courses will be cheaper and my services will be more expensive. So in the future, like right now, when you buy my courses, you can still get a lot of personal feedback and help from me, because I want to make sure I'm delivering value. In the future, I don't think I'm ever going to charge $10,000 or $20,000. I just won't be available. You just won't be able to work with me one-on-one. But I'll have lots of courses and tools and templates. I spend all my money building tools to help authors. I do that because I want to help people, and there's not enough stuff out there to help authors do it themselves. There's a lot of stuff where you can spend $10,000 or $20,000. There's people who are selling that shit really hard. So they're spending a lot of money on advertising and promotion to get you into their funnel, to sell you their $10,000 or $20,000 package. I'm not saying that's a bad business. I'm not saying it's a scam, because I do think that can be serious value. And I do think that's a needed, like people need that. People need the support and the validation, and they need the help. And like I said, if I was going to spend, if I'm going to do like a year of coaching for you, I would charge a ton of money for that, because people deserve to get paid. If they're experts, if they're good at what they do, and they're getting into a long-term relationship with you, and you don't know anything about publishing or business, this is going to be really high. It's going to be a lot of work and effort for them over a long period of time. So they deserve to get paid for that. I'm not saying that's a shitty business model. It's just not what I personally want to do. I don't want to do that for people. I would rather work with authors who they already know how to publish. They've already experienced publishing. They've already published 5 books, and they already make some money. I can help those people make a lot more money now that they know what they're doing. I don't really want to work with beginners, at least not face-to-face coaching. I don't want to teach them like the basics, which is why I make free resources and tools and templates so they can watch videos and do it themselves. I want to be writing my own books. I want to be making lots of money writing my own fiction. That's all I want to be doing. And I'm getting pretty close. I'm making pretty good money without advertising with my fiction, because I know what I'm doing. But that's also why I built the Guerrilla Publishing course, because I want to share so that I can help authors not do all of the book marketing. There's so many scams out there. There's so many people who will take your money and give you book marketing or sales or publicity, and none of it will help sell your book. So I try to educate people and help them do it themselves, so that they can learn a system that actually works without spending lots of money, by publishing cheap and actually earning money from your book. That's kind of what Guerrilla Publishing is all about, is publishing cheap so that you're earning money from your books, not spending. For almost all authors, like 95% of authors or more, spend more than they make. That's the average author experience. To have an expensive hobby and to be frustrated because you're investing a lot of time and money and you're not earning any back. That's what most authors experience. No matter what kind of publishing they use, traditional publishing or hybrid or self, most authors don't make money. So I spend a lot of time and money building resources and videos to try to help people do better. If you like this video, if you like the stuff that I do, the tools and resources, make sure you subscribe. Share my resources. Like I said, almost everything is free. I really don't make very much money from the content that I put out. I've got over 1 million views. A lot of it, like I said, is I'm not great at selling. I'm great at content. So I make things that are useful. I make things that people like. People like my content. They use my content. I have, 100,000 subscribers and over 1 million views on YouTube because people like my content. I'm not so good at selling people shit that they don't need. I'm really good at making people shit that they do need that could be really helpful, and I need to get better at packaging and positioning my nonfiction stuff in a way that resonates with authors and actually speaks to their pain points. I've been resistant to that in the past because I don't want to be a babysitter who helps you to, I don't believe in giving you the confidence to just believe in your book and just keep working on your book, because I know that almost always you're going to write a book that's not going to make any money. And I don't want to tell you that your book is going to make money because I'm not a liar. I'm not going to do that. Your book could make money. If you want to write books that sell, you can totally make money as a writer. But most people, they don't want to do that. They're not willing to do that. They just want to pay somebody else to help them publish their book and market their book. They don't want to write a book that's actually going to sell. And I can't help you do that. If you don't want to write a book that people love, if you just want to write the book that's in your heart to get it out into the world, I'm not your guy. I can't help you do that. There's a lot of other people who can help you do that, but they're probably not going to help you sell the book, and you're probably not going to earn the 6 figures that they promise you. So I would be wary and skeptical. I don't want to say, because I'm also a business person, I'm an online entrepreneur, I get what they're doing. They're doing business. It's business. They're building an audience. They're making them feel good. They're creating a tribe of people by letting them talk about their beliefs. And I need to get better about this. I need to, because sales is it's not about the product. It's not about having a product. Like, my stuff will completely help solve all your problems. But unless you believe that my stuff will help you, if you don't have the buy-in to actually go through the material and do the work, you're not going to do the work, and then it won't help you. So what I've been learning is it's not about the product. It's about the tribe. It's about letting people express themselves and talk about their projects and talk about their books. It's a weird subject because, like I said, I've always been tough love. Like, if you're not writing a book that's going to sell, I'm not going to tell you you're going to make money with it. I'm not going to tell you you're going to be able to make a business platform with it. That's not my business plan. But I do need to be better at empathizing and appreciating and letting people have a voice and communicate and feel valued and understood. I need to make my platform a little bit more user-friendly, because most authors, like 99% of authors, are still beginners who need the support and the validation, and they're still working on their first book, or they haven't finished their first book yet. I think a lot of my stuff has been too advanced for those authors, which means I'm only attractive to like the top 1% of my market, and I need to be attracted to the 99% of authors who want to write a book but haven't written a book yet, and they're just starting to figure out publishing, or they're looking at traditional publishing or self-publishing. Anyway, so I will be focused a lot more on that this year, on actually focusing on how to write the book that sells, how to fix your nonfiction book or your fiction book, fix the basic problems so that readers actually like it. Because if you write a book that readers don't like, there's just no help. And it's less satisfying. You don't want to write a book that nobody likes. Of course not. You want to write a book that people love. You probably just don't know how to do that yet. So there's other people who will help you to publish the book that you've written. There's not a lot of people who will help you to fix the book that you've written so that people actually like it. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy who helps take what the book that you've written and not just, I used to be a full-time editor. I have a PhD in literature. I don't want to be an editor who just helps you to clean up your writing. I want to be the guy who, before you've written the book, helps you to organize the content. Or after you finish the book, it's almost impossible to fix. So, like, I could help you to give suggestions. That's what I used to do. I could help you to go through the book and tell you what's wrong with it and tell you what to change. But even if you do all that stuff, you're not going to fix everything. Like an editor is not going to fix a broken book for you. What you really need is somebody who helps before you finish the book to help you make an outline or the organization or the project or the product. That's something that's super high value, and I would like to start doing that and working with people who want to write a book, who have a bunch of notes or ideas, but maybe you've been doing it for 10 years and you haven't finished anything and you just can't get it done. I'd like to help you at the beginning to plan and organize your book in a way that's going to make it attractive to readers, and then also give you the support and the feedback and the guidance and the community to get the book done. If you do that stuff, you're not going to have to work very hard to market the book. If you do it the right way, your book's going to sell itself, and that's so much easier than trying to market it after you've written the book. So that's kind of what my brand and my platform is all about. I hope it helps you a little bit understand the difference between publishing options and also how much money you should spend. Your book will have a better chance of being successful if you invest in covering the basics and having a nice cover designer, having good editing. That will help. And if you have the money, you definitely want to put your best product out there. But you don't want to waste a lot of time and money on a book that's not going to sell. What you want to do is publish lots of books quickly so that you can fail fast and hard, so that you can learn what you're doing. You do have to learn what you're doing. I don't know any authors who succeed because they pay for marketing. I don't know any authors who pay somebody else or a small press or a traditional publisher who give away their rights or they pay for a package. I don't know any authors who are successful that way. All of the authors I know who are successful, they've learned how to publish, they've learned how to market and build their own platform. You do need to learn how to do some of this stuff, but it's not that hard and you don't have to be working all the time. If you write a book on purpose that readers love, you can publish it pretty cheaply and it can earn money for you without needing to spend time and money on marketing. So that's what I like helping people do. That's what I do for my own books. If you're interested in that, make sure you check out all my other free videos and courses and books. I have tons of books out there and content. And anyway, follow me on social media. Subscribe to one of my lists if you haven't anyway. Hope this is helpful. Goodbye.